doing all right?
It's warm out.
It is. It's really nice, though.
You're really nice.
You want to start the podcast?
No, you start.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the R&R Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Renee.
Oh, boy. If you guys have been following along, we've had a few adventures so far. We're really starting to like getting this all set up and going to different spots and just talking about everything we can. On the last couple episodes, we've covered a few things. If you guys have not liked or subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you guys want to follow along, cracking open a cold one.
It's a Celsius.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not sponsored by them, though, so don't worry about it.
Just cut it out. We'll just cut that
The
part
mango
out.
one is the best, though.
The non-carbonated ones.
Yeah,
Those
the
are
tea
so good.
one. The other ones are
those
like
the best.
crack. But
Yeah, those-
anyway, this,
yeah.
you know.
Like, subscribe if you want to. Follow along if you guys have any suggestions or comments, or if you want to, give us a buzz on something that you want covered. Hey, we're more than welcome to. Today, we are going to go over a two-part series that we're going to cover about signs of an unhealthy relationship. Yeah.
How to know if your relationship probably is not for you.
So we're going to cover a few points in this video today, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and then we'll go ahead and cover the next segment in another later video. So Renee, what do we got?
All right. Ooh, these are juicy.
Are they? Mm-hmm. We kind of came together and wrote these down, and just were like, these are pretty good. We ended up coming up with a lot, and we're like, we could go on for a while for signs of an unhealthy relationship, but these are the ones that we just kind of decided to touch on.
Which means we'll probably talk about healthy ones later.
Yes, we will. We'll have a segment on healthy ones. This will be the bad. You got to have the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. Good cop, bad
I'm
cop.
overly optimistic, so this is
You
like
are overly. I'm overly pessimistic, so this will be really good.
No.
No, not all the time.
Sometimes. Not really, though. No. Anyway, number 1, your significant other always finds something wrong with you. Ouch.
Yikes! Like that zit on your forehead right now.
Dude, I have the worst zit right now. It's been going on for 2 days.
I woke up. I was like, oh god. Oh!
That's not like that big of a deal, though.
No, it's not. And you pointed it out. I didn't even notice it.
It's. Can you guys see it? I mean, it's.
Let's zoom in on this.
I just started using light coverage foundation, and first day I get a zit.
All right, so go over number 1 with us.
So, your significant other always finding something wrong with you. I am guilty of this in past relationships. I've definitely been in relationships where I found a lot of things wrong with them.
Why do you think that is?
Sorry, my throat's a little. I honestly think it's just an incompatibility issue, and I was ignoring it. And like we weren't meant to be together, and like just like every little thing would just like bother me.
Yeah.
Like pet peeves are one thing, but I was finding things wrong with the person, like the way they talked and the way they drove and the way they ate, like,
Yeah.
like.
That definitely sounds like an incompatibility issue.
Which is a whole other topic. Which I mean, a lot of these things are really incompatibility issues.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add about that?
Well, it would always, there are definitely pet peeves in relationships for sure.
But have you been on the receiving end of somebody always thinking things are wrong with you?
Yeah,
I know, but the people don't know.
The people got to know. So, yes, and I think, again, I think a lot of that comes from either resentment or projection or insecurities, and a lot of that stuff can be kind of formulated into that. Or, hey, you just really decided that you're not really happy with the person, and you try to convince yourself of all these little things that you can nitpick about them to make it seem like you're validated and how you are, but really you just shouldn't be with that person.
You just shouldn't be with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, to touch on that, I have been with you this long, almost a year now, and number 1, I don't really have any pet peeves with you.
No.
And there's not anything I nitpick you about because...
No, we don't think there's anything wrong with each other.
Dang, we're awesome. Yeah. What's the next one?
Number 2, they strip away your self-esteem.
Ooh.
That kind of segues off number 1, because if they are nitpicking you all the time or finding things wrong with you, then they're stripping away your self-esteem.
I agree.
Like how does someone strip away your self-esteem?
Well, okay, a good example was my last relationship before I met you, that was years ago. That person didn't want me to go to the gym because they didn't like working out. And working out for me has never been about like looking a certain way or anything. You know that. I just enjoy it because it gives me like kind of like a physical release. It's good for me to get in there mentally. I feel more accomplished throughout my day. It's just part of my routine.
Gives you more energy.
It definitely gives me more energy, and as I get older, that vitality and that just overall wanting to be durable, you know, especially for the kids and the girls, you know,
And for me.
and for you, it's just, I think everybody should be, you know.
I like going to the gym to look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to feel good.
Well, and I feel better about myself. And then that person would be like, well, you know, you don't look that good. And I'd be like, well.
They would tell you don't look that good?
Yeah, they would tell me that I don't look that good.
Because you're
like,
fit?
Because where they would say that you don't look as good as you think you do. Or they would just say, I don't think you need to go to the gym because it's just not important. Like, I don't go to the gym. Like, are you trying to just look better than me? Again.
That's terrible.
More of those insecurities just kind of pop it up. And it was something that I really enjoyed. And I didn't have many hobbies except for outdoor activities. So it was like, well, that went back to one of our other segments about people just kind of making you do a little bit of self-abandonment to make them happy. And
that's really shitty.
And then I stopped going to the gym, and you saw how small, like, I got just like a...
I mean, knowing the man that you are today, I can't even imagine you being that guy.
Yeah.
Like, to actually let a chick prevent you from going to the gym.
I'm not happy about it.
How long were you with that person?
About a year.
So you didn't go to the gym for a year?
Pretty close, like eight,
well,
9
you
months.
also had a surgery.
I did, yeah, but that was a little bit before, but I was recovering, and I had started to look better because I was coming back. And
you
they were
actually
like,
stopped going to the gym for
They were like, well, I actually liked you better when you weren't working out.
Reason 859 why I don't like your ex. Anyway, number 3, there's a clear imbalance of power.
I like that one.
So a clear imbalance of power. I also had this in a previous relationship where that person like wanted me to be a mommy almost. Like they wanted me to call all the shots. Every day off we had together, they would ask me what the plan is. Like I had to pick restaurants. I had to pick what we watched on TV. Like
no direction.
They had no direction, but they gave me all the power, and I friggin' hated it.
Well, that probably forced you to be a lot more masculine than you are, and you're like, you do not do well with that. Like you are.
I
very
definitely
feminine.
like when I'm on my own fending for myself. I'm more of a masculine chick,
which you don't like.
but I hate it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
When we're apart, you like always talk about that. You're
I
like,
hate
I
it.
absolutely hate fending for myself.
I hate it, and so being in this relationship,
It's not
where
that you're useless though. You know, it's
Oh,
not like
no, I'm very-
You know,
I'm
it's like you just don't.
I'm a productive member of society, but like I order my groceries on Instacart instead of going to the store and getting them because that feels
But when you're around me, I kind of force.
too much. Well, because I'm with you,
Yeah.
so you
And
can
you're
like push me
introverted.
around in the cart and stuff.
In the kitty cart, she does.
So yeah, clear imbalance of power. It could be in the man's favor or the woman's favor. There should never be an imbalance. Like I'm all about balance of masculine and feminine, but it's still equality of power.
I think you and I have a very good exchange of power on a day-to-day basis. Like there are things that you do really well and that I'm just like kind of behind on, and then there are things that I do really well that you're just kind of behind on.
Yeah.
Like I just do really well with leading us and giving us direction, like, hey, we're going to do this, that, and the other. If you don't agree with it, you'll be like, hey, can we just, like I suggested going to the
another idea.
Yeah, I suggested going to the movies today, and you're like, well, I don't really feel up to it. And like that's, I'm like, totally cool. We'll go do something else.
Yeah.
So, and then there's things that you really like to do that I'm just like, hey, you know what? That sounds a lot better than what I was thinking. So let's just do it. And I don't think enough people have that in relationships where they talk about like what the other one wants. It's always like my way or the highway kind of deal. And that can probably lead to an exchange or an imbalance
of power.
Yeah.
And then the one that gives all their power away is abandoning himself, which was yesterday's
So note on
topic.
that, the person that cares the most will always be the losing end.
Yeah, unless it's even.
But in those cases, it's usually not.
Oh, in that case,
yeah, in
of course.
In that case, it's not, because the person that always cares the most about what's like actually happening, the other person just doesn't. That person will always be the losing end. Because
Well, there's all, it could be a whole other topic, but people pleasers, people that
which I am.
don't know how to have their power, and they just say yes to everything. They don't know how to say no, or they over-explain themselves. Like, that's a whole other topic.
Well, the givers of this world definitely need to learn their boundaries and their limits, because the takers of this world do not have any, for sure.
Yeah.
They do not, and that'll just always be their downfall.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Number 4, they're controlling and excessively jealous, which, the controlling part, it all just comes from a root of insecurity.
All right, so this is a good one for you. As a woman, what, and you have a pretty big Instagram, you do a lot of modeling. What have you seen in past relationships that that affect you when it comes to that stuff?
I have really good example on this one. So I do a lot of modeling stuff. I'm very active on Instagram. I had an ex, this was a while ago now. I had an ex that it all came from insecurity. He would get worried, like if I were about to work with a new photographer and it was a male, he would get worried about how that photographer would conduct themselves, but he would take it out on me. He would just start stewing and he would spiral and he'd be like, well, I don't trust this guy, like blah, blah, blah. And it would come off as like being very abrasive and aggressive towards me, and it would stress me out. And I ended up canceling a lot of shoots. I would start bringing him to shoots, which is kind of tacky.
Yeah, and kind of uncomfortable.
Unless the boyfriend's invited, which is a sign of a professional photographer if they don't care who you're with.
True.
But it affected my social media a lot because I was turning down work.
Have you ever had any, I know I have a lot of friends that get this, like, you know, women aren't allowed to dress a certain way or do a certain thing or like, you know, whatever, and that's why I just don't associate with those people, you know.
So I've been very fortunate. What's flying in front of my eye? Did you see that?
Could be anything.
It was like a little...
Yeah, it was like a white thing.
I have been very fortunate to not experience this in my own relationships with boyfriends, but I have friends, or I've known friends that their partners, their boyfriends were uncomfortable with what they wear. Like, and I'm sorry, sis, but that is a huge red flag. Like, dump his ass or let him know, like, I'm not saying to dress like you're going to Club 11 in Miami every day to go get groceries. I'm not saying that your goodies should be hanging out, but I'm saying if you're wearing a flowy dress or some workout clothes that are just flattering to you, he should not have a problem with you looking decent to go out into the world.
I love you showing off your body.
Thanks,
like when we go out, like you work so hard for it. I mean, like.
I will say there was a day, like a couple weeks ago, that Ryan was dressed really nice, and he sent me a picture, and I told him to go home immediately because I wasn't here. We live 2 states away, and I just felt like some little Southern Belle cougar was going to stuff him in her trunk and bring him home. I don't know.
It was a grocery store, by the way.
It doesn't matter. You looked really good.
Thanks, babe.
But no, so I
made it home safely, no trunk.
You did. You did. And when he tucks his t-shirt into his sweatpants, don't even get me started. Don't even. But no, I've had girlfriends, you know, they're dudes. It's like they don't even want them to look that good to go out in public. Like, to just run errands. And I'm talking about, they're just wearing like shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah. Like a crop top. Like not even, and they don't want them to look that good.
I had a friend long ago that wouldn't let his girlfriend like shave like for like a while.
It's like they want them to be grungy.
It's weird.
To be like less desirable looking. As a healthy feminine woman, I love that my partner is desirable. Like, I love that chicks swoon over you because you're desirable and you're mine. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we get looks everywhere with you.
It's like, a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. And you know what? It's nobody oversteps.
Like that day we were training at the gym, Ryan had given, Ryan can do chiropractic adjustments from the Air Force, and he adjusted me. And there was this cute chick across the gym, and she looked over at us. She's like, I'm so jealous right now. And it was kind of like cheeky, but like I was so flattered by that. And she said it to me. It sounded like she was being sneaky, but it kind of like turned me on. Like it made me like, oh, he's mine. Like, you know, it made me feel good.
We're both very proud.
Yeah, it was a good thing.
What's next? That was a good one.
Number 5. Kind of goes after that last one. You're not practicing self-care.
Yeah. Like just like a depressive mode a little bit where you just don't feel yourself.
Or like you feel like you're in a funk. Like I know friends that are like, yeah, I used to get all dressed up. I used to wear makeup every day and now I just don't care. Yeah. You know, you sort of let yourself go. You're very complacent. Maybe you kind of go home and you eat a little more. You put on a few pounds. You dress.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
If you're happy with it, though. But if you do it out of complacency and being just unhappy. Yeah. You know, if you're in a funk, like, you know, I don't have to shave my legs every day, or I don't put on makeup anymore.
I get that.
Or maybe the guy gets really, like, overly comfortable and he stops going to the gym. Like,
that was me.
But he kind of wishes he did, though.
Well, that was me. You know, I got so depressed that I was just like, you know what? Fuck it.
You're not practicing self-care.
Right. Yeah, and that was a big form of self-care for me.
Yeah, it's the biggest.
That's what
So
you got.
that one's kind of self-explanatory, but a really good one. Number 6,
Oops.
this one is, huh?
Yeah.
Do I have a bug on me?
No, I keep
Oh.
seeing things flying.
There's like orbs being
Yeah, I saw
attracted
that.
to me. They do follow happiness, so there's that. Number 6, you keep waiting or hoping for them to change. Oh, this was like totally my last relationship for 3 years.
And it's never long enough. Like before, it's the longer it goes, the worse it gets. But people that have so much hope that like aren't negative people, it's like, you know what? We believe in the people that we're with. Like we're
Yeah.
such firm believers that they can do anything because like we do have hope for them. But it's like behavior that's allowed is behavior that will continue. It just never gets better. And it's like one more day. What's one more day? What's another weekend before you know it? 3 years
3
goes
years.
by, and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing?
And you're probably like me, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are, where you fall for somebody's potential in the beginning.
Yes, potential, dude.
And
Killer.
like, yeah, because like I'm a very positive person, and I can meet someone and I can see their best self right away. I can see everything they're capable of in the best way. And when I fall for someone, I see that in them, and it's almost like my past relationships where they almost like sold me rainbows, and I believed it.
Well, I think that goes back to the part where people getting into relationships aren't open about what's going on and who they are and where they're really at. Really at. And like that was actually
that duping topic I want to go over.
That was that big fear of mine when we got into our relationship, because I told you straight up, like, I'm in the middle of a transition right now. I just had this lucrative career, and then now I'm transitioning to something else, and it's going to take
me a while. But you told me right away.
I did, and I was like so worried because I didn't want to be like 6 months in our relationship and be like, dude, I'm not doing so well, or if this didn't go the way that I had hoped, and like it just has to be this thing I talk about like it's brand new,
Yeah.
And that was just always a big fear for me. So I can definitely see like where people can go wrong with trying to sell rainbows right up front, and then 6 months later they're like, hey, by the way, I'm absolutely broke and I'm homeless. And you're like, wait, what? You're like, okay, well.
Yeah, like.
Or just their personality. They can keep like a mask on for a couple months and then it just absolutely slips. And you're like.
This is all, like getting duped. I want to have a whole topic on getting duped.
We can
do that. A whole other episode, because we've all been duped. But, like selling rainbows is when you pretty much, you pitch to this potential partner or this partner of all these things you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is where I'm about to be. This is the plan. But you're trying to sell it to yourself too, though. Yeah. People that sell rainbows, they tell everybody their plans. They're always plans, and they're trying to convince themselves they're going to do it, and they never actually take action steps. They never actually take action steps to make it happen. Yeah. And I don't know what they're hoping for with that, but everybody kind of learns after a while, like either they're just a bullshitter or.
This is my biggest thing with this. If anybody's going to take a point away from this, if a couple months goes by and nothing's changed, or it's the same song and dance, you got to go.
Or a pattern.
A giant pattern. You got to go. It's never going to change.
Like yesterday, we talked about having those uncomfortable conversations. Like I've known friends, and I've been in this situation where it's like, you have an uncomfortable conversation, honey, like, my love language is really words of affirmation. There's a spider on me. My love language is words of affirmation. Like, I know you're not a words guy, but if you could please just, tell me once in a while that I'm pretty and how you feel. And then he goes into overdrive, and he does a good job for like 4 days, and then he falls off.
Cyclical.
A pattern.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as you want it.
It's like it's almost like love bombing a little bit. It's like, hey, can you make a change? And then it's like,
and that's what my last relationship.
And then they do it for like enough just to convince you that things are changing. What do you call it? Turbulence and not.
Oh, it's just turbulence and not climate change.
Right.
But they make you think it's climate change. It's a pattern.
Yep.
And you're just over here hoping they change, and you think that they did. So you feel better for a while, and then it just goes right back into that shitty pattern.
I have a friend like that, constantly buying and selling. Always.
I do too.
Always being duped.
And
here we are 2 years later. It's still the same. No, they're good. They're going to change. I think that's one of the points we talk on later.
Okay. So number 7 is you feel very insecure. So That one, it's a good one. I think what you mean by that is you feel insecure in the relationship. Like, because I'm a very secure,
yeah.
person.
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
You feel like the relationship could end at any
Right,
point?
my last relationship, if I had a problem, or if I voiced it or something like that, that person would not give me any reassurance. Like if
They never gave you any of that.
If I say something to you, you're so quick to be like, dude, it's totally fine. We're okay.
Oh,
Everything's
yeah.
gonna be fine. And
How many times do I tell you we're a done deal?
Well, yeah,
All the time.
But that person, like over time, if you can't get any reassurance or anything that like there's no skin in the game for them, that where they could like leave at any time, that will make you extremely insecure, because then it almost makes you like kind of not be yourself, because then you're trying to figure out what you can do to keep that person around. You're like, what am I doing that's wrong, or and it's never you. It's actually never you. It's that person.
Yeah.
But you're scrambling so hard because you're the one that cares more. You're trying to just keep them in the game as much as you can, and it ends up being an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
So that's my personal experience with that. Easy to make you feel insecure.
It's almost like you're walking on ice. You know, like you don't feel
Eggshells
like you
constantly.
can voice any of your needs, and if you do, there's impending doom either way. Okay,
Absolutely.
so that makes sense. Number 8, your significant other never takes responsibility.
I know y'all have had that one. It's always somebody else,
Yeah.
never you.
Yeah, which I think you actually list that in here. Yeah, they never take responsibility. Like, they could have done something and you try to bring it up and they just shoo it under the rug. They blame you. They gaslight you.
Constant gaslighting. I will tell you, this is probably one of the biggest, if you're out there and you see this, I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest deal breaker and will never, ever change. If you meet somebody right away and the first problem that you encounter with this person that you know is an actual problem that stems from them, and they take no responsibility for it, you need to go.
You just need to dip.
You got to dip, because that is a person that has become so comfortable with constantly getting away or making everything like as a scapegoat. It'll never change. It'll never change.
And
biggest red flag.
They're doing
one of the
you a
biggest red
favor.
flag.
They're pretty much
agree.
saying that when you come at me with an issue that I should be accountable for, I won't be. Mm-hmm. And you just need to dip. So that's a good one. All right, we're at number 9. Your partner is constantly stonewalling you. That's what your ex would do.
Yep.
To my understanding, stonewalling is when you go to them, with your feelings.
It's like, I don't really care.
They put a wall up.
Yeah, that's just, you can never get an inch.
Yeah, they would tell you that they don't want to talk about feelings, or we don't talk about feelings. And
or they didn't think it was very
valid
manly or valid or whatever. It's like, why are you constantly worried about feelings? Like, can we just not like worry about it? Well, I am worried about it because you've done something that has bothered me, and I want to be able to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to take responsibility and you're going to stonewall me at the same time, goodbye. Mm-hmm. See you later. That's one of the worst things that you can feel. There's nothing worse than going to somebody that you care about and saying, Renee, I have a problem and I don't like this. And they're like, who fucking cares?
Like, talk to the hand.
Right. Like, okay. And you're like, great. So now not only do you not have any reassurance,
you don't feel heard.
You don't feel heard. You're starting to feel insecure. You're stonewalled. The responsibility is not even on that person. So you're like, where do I even fucking go with this? Because you just can't. It's a losing battle every single time.
And that is just a huge sign that person is not evolved enough to be in a relationship. No. They have so much healing to do.
Yep.
And they need to do that on their own.
Agreed.
There are some little things here and there. Maybe you get into a relationship and you're like, oh, once in a while I get a little heated sometimes, and I'm working on that part of myself. That's a type of healing you can do together, and you can work on that. But if you won't even consider discussing feelings, like, that person is just...
We're going to do an episode on that where we talk about the differences between what's acceptable and what's not when it comes to, hey, what are things that we can work through and what are things we can't work through? Somebody having a small little flaw versus a massive character flaw, I think, is where people have a giant misconception about,
there's a quirk, and then there's like a,
hey, you know what,
not...
like, I smoke, but I'm working on not smoking as much, right? Or something like that. Now, I don't smoke, but that's different than saying, hey, I lie constantly and I'm going to continue to, like, because I don't have the ability to take accountability or responsibility. That character flaw versus something you can work through.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people kind of mesh those together and they kind of jumble them up into one big fucking mess all the time, and they just don't know which way to go. They're like, well, he can work through it. And it's like, no, you're making an excuse for a character flaw instead of something that can actually be fixed. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk about that. Number 10. This one is so good and everyone ignores this. Your family and friends are concerned and or they don't like the person.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. If your closest friends and your family dislikes the person, they are not for you.
No.
Because chances are you've known your family your whole life and you've known these friends for quite a while. That's why they're your closest friends. They know you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't like that person right away, there's a fucking reason.
Well, 9 times out of 10, they can see changes in you too.
They can see changes
that
in
you can't
you.
even see yourself because you're too close to it. You know, if I had $1 for every time my mom or a close friend told me like, that is not good, I'd be like a fucking millionaire. It would just, if I would just listen, because like they're so close to me that I'm just like, how do I not see it? They're wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also want to add to that, not only do your friends and family not like the person or they're concerned, you don't feel like you can be around your friends and family with this person. You isolate yourself. Like, it's only you and that person. Like, you guys are in a little bubble together.
Remember my last relationship? The person didn't even want to bring me around family because they knew. And
Well,
my family didn't want them around because they knew.
She didn't bring you around family because she knew you guys weren't supposed to be together.
Yeah.
That was a her thing. But then you didn't.
My family was like.
Your family didn't want it around.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a double. It was a double whammy for sure.
But you know, if you have that relationship where like you used to have all these like connections and friends and quality time with family, and now you're not doing that anymore, like that's a huge red flag.
Absolutely.
And people usually don't see that.
No, absolutely. And it, you know, even one of my marriages caused a huge rift between me and my family. You know that, like it was so hard for everybody because they were always in the middle of stuff. You know, and that's just it's a big one, guys. It's a big one.
Now, there is a difference when you get in a relationship. Like, you know, of course, naturally, I was spending a little bit more time with friends when I was single. And since we've been together, like, I just love hanging out with you.
Yeah, and I love hanging out with your friends, though.
But we also hang out with my friends all the time. My friends love you.
Yeah. And
gosh,
I love them.
They don't even just want me anymore. They're like, where's Ryan?
They're like a part of my family now, which is amazing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. All right, so now we're at number 11. You don't have the type of trust you should have.
Yeah.
That's just a no-brainer,
Yeah,
really.
that is a no-brainer. Yeah, we don't really need to touch on that one too much. I think honestly, if like it just can be little stuff. You know, if you're feeling the need to check your partner's phone or wonder where they're at, or you literally just don't believe anything that they say. If you firmly believe that everything out of their mouth has like some ulterior motive or Machiavellian intention, what is the point?
There's no compatibility.
There's no compatibility. Like you and I from the get-go have always just had immense respect and trust with one another.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever questioned one another. Like now, if there's something that comes up, I'm like, hey, I haven't heard of this before. Is this something that is going to continue with this or whatever? And you ask me the same, like if it's a new work thing or if it's a new job thing or like new friend or whatever the case may be. Like, but we like to be included in each other's lives. And we're so used to
healthy.
And we're so used to telling each other every single thing.
Because we like to.
We do
Not
like to.
because we asked for it. Because we like to.
I enjoy doing all that. Because it's usually like just a you and I thing.
Mm-hmm. So we're at the halfway mark with this one. You often feel worse when you're with them. That's also self-explanatory. I've been in relationships. I had when I was a lot younger. I was like 19, 20, 21. It was a longer relationship too because I didn't know about all this back then. Yeah. It was like when I got off work, I just had this like dark feeling. Like this person battled with depression and they had a lot of mental issues.
It seems like it almost affects you, like it seeps into what
it was a darkness.
Yeah, it brings you down.
And when I would get off work, I would kind of dread going home because I'm like, man, I got to go home and try and be a cheerleader and lift this person's spirits. And it's impossible. They're like a black hole.
Yeah.
It was just negative, you know? So if you have that like if you feel better without them, you need to be without them.
100%.
That's self-explanatory.
Yeah, 100%. That's going to be the halfway for us today, guys. We're going to cover the other portion in another segment. Thanks for joining us. Again, if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe. I'm Ryan. This is Renee. And thanks for joining us.
Thank
See y'all.
you.